I'm Jen.
And I'm Mel.
Welcome to Chokeholds and Chill.
So first of all, welcome to the podcast, Mike Frausto.
Thank you
Okay.
for having us. I appreciate it.
We're so excited to talk to you. So you are a 10th Planet black belt. You've been training for over 15 years, over 10 years of coaching. You're known as Coach Lobes, correct?
Yeah.
And you have
Yes.
your own gym now. So we want to dive in and get to know you a little bit. So can you start with telling us why you're known as Coach Lobes?
So I actually have gauges. I have plugs that I had, when I was a teenager. And I took them out when I started training. And I actually had one coach in particular who still, is a 10th Planet black belt, Einstein.
Mm-hmm.
And he did not want to learn my name. And so he gave me the nickname Lobes. And that kind of just stuck literally with everybody.
That
Oh
is
my
funny.
gosh, that's hilarious.
I love that. So, and how long ago was that started? Like,
I was maybe a year or two into training, maybe a
okay.
Oh,
year. Yeah, it was
wow.
early on. It was really early on.
Okay. So you started as Lobes and now you're Coach Lobes.
Correct. Yeah.
I
Legendary.
love it. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about, where you're from, where'd you grow up? What kind of
Mhm.
things did you do as a kid before getting into martial arts?
Yeah. So I'm from LA originally, like the San Fernando Valley area. Still here currently. And this is, the area where my gym is at. But yeah, growing up just was not, really big into athletics a lot. Um, I did play sports as a kid just because, that's kind of what your parents put you in to keep you active. And so I played soccer and some other things throughout middle school. But ultimately in high school I started getting into music, and so actually guitar was like my first big passion
Nice.
that I got into. My brother purchased a guitar for me, and from like 12 years old till 20 years old, so like when I started training, I was playing music pretty much all the time. And had a band. We were playing metal music, as most kids at that time did. But
Nice.
yeah, that was my passion, just music. I loved music. And yeah, I did that for almost 10 years, and
Very
then
cool.
transitioned over to training.
Awesome. So what
Mhm.
sparked transitioning to training? How did that come about?
Yeah, so it was, something I kind of always wanted to do anyway. I think as a kid also I played not like a ton of video games, but when I did, it was always like a fighting game. So it was like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you remember, there was a game called Killer Instincts. Like there was a lot of just random fighting games.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are the ones that I gravitated towards. And so eventually, I was like 19 at the time, and I worked at Starbucks, and I had some money saved up, and I was like, let's go find a Muay Thai school. I was like, Street Fighter was kind of, obviously striking based, and I was like, yeah, I want to try and check that out. So I found a school in North Hollywood, which is actually MTA, Muay Thai Academy of America. It's like one of the most famous Muay Thai schools in LA. And I walked in there, and there was nobody there. Like doors were wide open. I walked in, it's just like empty and quiet. And I'm, kind of, hello, is anyone here? And
Mm-hmm.
finally, some guy comes out of the back room, and he goes, "Oh yeah, come back at 5." So okay, so I left, came back later, and took a class, and I loved it. And literally on the spot, I like threw down money for a year up front, and I was like, "Fuck it, let's do it."
Hell yeah.
Amazing.
I love when I hear people that are like, yeah, right away, I was in.
Hooked.
I was in.
Yeah.
So wait, so was
Mhm.
that just a Muay Thai or was that okay?
No, that was just Muay Thai. So it's purely Muay Thai, and I only did striking like on its own for maybe about 8 months,
Mm-hmm.
and then I had some friends that introduced me to jujitsu. So it was actually, ironically enough, two brothers that I went to school with that I was playing music with at the time as well.
Oh, cool.
And so they, were doing jujitsu, and they had like a bring a friend day, I think, at the like the OG Gracie Academy in Torrance.
Oh,
And
Mm-hmm.
nice.
so they lived in LA, so Torrance wasn't that bad for them.
Yeah.
But for me, it was like, dude, it was the biggest trek. So I drove out to Torrance. They gave me my gi. They did like the whole Gracie setup of like, okay, lay on your back. I'm gonna mount you. Try and get out.
Oh,
Obviously, you fail.
no.
Um, and so I did the class, and I enjoyed it. It wasn't bad, but I was like, still not for me. Like I just like striking. I'm gonna keep doing this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then, maybe 2, 3 months later, they said, "Hey, we're at a new spot now. It's all no-gi. Like, come check it out. It's closer to you too." It was in Burbank.
Oh,
And
nice.
so I went and checked that out. And it was 10 Planet Burbank, where a lot of the coaches that now have their own schools, they were all funneled at that one location. So there was like, 5 different coaches who at the time were brown belts, now are like some of the most popular coaches in 10 Planet, with their own school. So it was a good spot to be in at that time.
Yeah, that's
That's really
great.
cool. I just
Mhm.
want to touch on the trek because I'm from Torrance. So I know exactly what you're talking about when you say Torrance was easy for them to get to. The trek it's the 101 405 connect that wants to make
Mhm.
you stab your eyes out like nothing else. But it's
Yeah.
worth it for jujitsu, I guess. But also, yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, and for sure, I don't think it seems that far at the time. Like I think
Mm,
most people have a broad idea. They're like they hear Torrance, like, oh, LA. Okay, cool.
right.
No, it's way further than you think.
Yeah.
Yes. It's the yeah, not LA.
No, definitely not.
So can you
So
tell
funny.
us about that first class that you went to at 10th Planet when you were like, "Oh yeah, this is
This is
dope."
the one, yeah.
Yeah, so I remember that actually. It was obviously with the training at Gracie, it was very according to their curriculum and their structure, especially for beginners. It was very much self-defense based, which was, obviously important and good. And then at 10th Planet, one, I just enjoyed being without the gi. I think that was the first thing that, for me, I was like, okay, it's a little more comfortable. This is good. And then yeah, something about just the structure, especially at that time, obviously now there's such a variety of ways to train, but at the time just having like a very mapped out set of moves that you can kind of follow a guideline.
Mhm.
That was important for me, I think, in the beginning, just to even see that as, how these things connect. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. This goes to this, that goes to that. Like, they were kind of connecting the puzzle for me. Obviously,
Right.
you're terrible at it when you're learning, but just even seeing it, I was like, okay. I was like, all right, that's a little bit cooler now. Like, this makes more sense. And so, I took the first class and I didn't sign up right away. I was still at the Muay Thai school and I was still doing a bunch of things. And I think maybe like a month later, I was like, you know what, let me just try and do both. And so I was going back and forth. And then ironically, they had a Muay Thai program there. And I found out the guy who was teaching the program was actually from MTA where I was doing Muay Thai at. And
Mm.
so I was like, well, then why don't I just get all, in one place? I can just have everything right there. And so, so at the time, there was Alder Hampel who was there, who owns 10 Planet Van Nuys now. There was Einstein Epstein, who now owns 10 Planet West LA. Victor Acosta was the Muay Thai coach, who now owns Thai Boxing Institute.
Wow.
And Amir Alam was the wrestling coach, who now owns 10th Planet Salt Lake City. So it was literally like, almost like a powerhouse of a gym. And all
Shit,
for
Wow.
one
yeah, a bunch of
membership.
heavy hitters.
Damn.
Yeah, for one gym, I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna be here, pay for everything, and it was easy. So,
That's
um,
awesome.
yeah, so it was a great place to be. And then I remember maybe 5 months in, um, I was still young. I was 20 years old, and I
Mhm.
was, trying to catch up on money and stuff. And so I went to one of the coaches, and I was like, hey, I just want to pause for like a month. I said, I'm definitely coming back. Like, don't be nervous. Like, I'm not leaving. I said, but I just got to like catch up a little bit, take some extra shifts, make some money, and like come back. And he was like, I think later on now, in like retrospect, he kind of in his brain process, like, oh, I've seen this before. Like, and people just dip out.
Yeah.
And he was like, don't do that. He was like, let's just keep it going. He's like, I won't charge you this month. He's like, just clean the mats when you're here. I said, easy, no problem. I'll clean the mats every day. It's cool. And so, yeah, I got the next month and I was cleaning the mats. And then I quickly became his right hand man. And the following month, he was like, "Hey, I got some private lessons. Can you like assist me and like help me
Wow.
with them? And then I'll cover your month for that." And so it was just back and forth. So I was, in a very short time, training there, but I was also, cleaning the gym for membership. I was assisting with privates. I was assisting with classes. And again, I'm a white belt. I know nothing, but it was just like, he was trying to keep me in there. And I
Yeah.
think, now looking back, that was probably the push that kind of kept me on this long journey to where I'm at now,
Yeah. It's like it's somebody that believed in you and wanted to see you succeed.
Hmm.
which
When
is crazy super early on, It's not
Yeah.
something that's common.
Yeah,
Right.
he must have seen something in you.
Yeah, for
Mhm.
sure. Extra
Yeah, it was
special.
cool.
When would you say that it went from a hobby to part of your identity? Coming from, not knowing anything, starting to learn a little bit of what the coaching side looks like and how that feels to being Coach Lobes, and that's who you are
Mhm.
now.
Yeah, I don't think there was like a moment, that stands out that like shifted it because everything was
Mhm.
pretty progressive. And so from, training in jiu-jitsu and having everything in one spot, I kind of forget how that came up, but MMA kind of came up as the next topic of choice. And so I was like, yeah, I want to fight MMA. Like, let me try it. And so, after 2 years, I got my blue belt and then I started like working towards like my first fight. And so, I was there every day. I ended up, kind of making that the semi-career path, right? Like I never thought I was gonna be a champion and never wanted to pursue that. But if I was gonna do it, I wanted to put time into it.
Right.
And so yeah, so we after that first 2 years, I got my first fight and ended up losing that one in decision. I was like, all right, let's try it again. Second fight, lost that one. I was like, okay, let's try one more time.
Damn.
Um, and then finally won my third fight, and then from there had some success. But yeah, so it kind of quickly drifted into that, and it was very, for me, mindset wise, was just competitor. Like I just want to compete. That was my big thing. And even in jujitsu, I think in the beginning as a white belt, like I would drive the tournaments by myself, like with no coach. I was like, I was terrible at competing, like not good at all. It was, I could perform well in the gym, and just as soon as I'm out there, it's complete opposite. You're just
Oh
like,
my God.
who is this dude? What's happening?
Oh
Um,
no.
Who let him come here?
yeah,
He took
exactly. And
himself.
by himself. Yeah. You're like, why is he here? Who's this coach? Um, and so, for me, it was just a mental block that I knew I needed more repetitions on. Like I just needed to be out there more. I needed to get comfortable with it. And so I just found every tournament. I signed up for everything. There was a couple that my dad drove me out to. He has no
Nice.
idea what jiu-jitsu is, no idea what I'm doing. And he would just sit in the bleachers and kind of wait for me. And, I would have the match. They raised the other guy's hand. I walked back to my dad. He's like, "Did you win?" I'm like, "Nope." It's like, I don't know if you saw, but
No.
um, but yeah, I lost my first 10 tournaments, trying to
Mhm.
like get into the rhythm. And then from that point on, I had a lot of success and started winning tournaments consistently at white belt, at blue belt, at
Mhm.
purple belt. And then, during that shift, my coach, the one who kind of like helped me stay into training, he said, "I think you should coach." And I said, "I don't think so." I was like, "I don't think that's a thing." And he goes, "No," he's like, I really think you should give it a try." And I said, "I just want to compete. Like, I don't really care about coaching. Like, I'm good." Still super shy at this point, like not,
Mhm.
good at communicating with people.
Yeah.
And so he took it upon himself. We would, have class and we'd be hanging out after practice, and he would pull out his phone and start videoing me. And he goes, "Hey, teach me an armbar." And he
Mhm.
would just film it. And I'm like, "Bro, I don't know what I'm doing." So he's like, "Yeah, just what we did today." He's like, "Just show me." And so I'd run through the steps, and he would like secretly post it to the YouTube.
Oh,
And
wow.
every class he would just do that. Oh, show me this, what we did today. And so he was like priming me to become a coach without me
Yeah.
really knowing.
Wow.
And it just progressed to where he was like, now we're in class. He goes, "Hey, run the warm up." Okay, I'll run the warm up. And at this point, it's still not a thing for me. Like I'm just kind of doing it just because he's asking me to do it, but not
Mhm.
enjoying it. Um, and then he has me teach like one technique in the class. And I remember this one, I remember specifically. I like taught a technique, and it was something, I'd been me personally working on. And so I had like a fair amount of information on it. And I remember getting home and I got a message on Facebook from one of the students. I was like, "Dude, that was amazing. Like what you showed today, it made sense to me finally." He's like, "I've learned it before, but like I get it now."
That's the
And
best
that for
feeling.
me,
Oh
it
man.
is. It is. And that was a big turning point for me to realize like, okay, maybe this is a thing.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, then from there it snowballed really quick. And then yeah, I started falling in love with it, and now that's the only thing I want to do.
What level were you at when you started coaching then?
When I started, dude, I was a blue belt. I should not have been
Okay.
coaching anyone.
Everybody
Yeah.
says that, but
Mhm.
how do you learn to become a good black belt coach if you don't have the years behind you of struggling through it?
Right, for sure.
Uh, no, that's really cool though, because I mean, I'm obviously have not been training as long as you, but I love coaching
Yeah.
more
Mm.
than competing, and it's just it
So
is
do
really
I.
just such a good it's a good feeling when you see the
Mhm.
light bulb go on
Mhm.
for people. So, how long did you train at 10th Planet before knowing that you wanted to like have your own gym eventually?
Yeah, so pretty much the whole time. I would
Yeah.
say
Oh,
almost my entire journey has been with them. It's varied a bit. I started off in at Burbank, and then all the coaches dispersed in different directions, and so I stuck with Alder, who was the one that was pretty much there, my mentor the entire time, and he went to open up Van Nuys. So I was with him when he first opened up that, and that was my main team for years. I got my purple belt from him, and then during that time, met a girl, lived in Orange County. I ended up moving to Orange County after we were together for some time, and ended up training at the 10 Planets out there. And that was where I met Casey Halstead, who's my current coach.
Okay.
And he's out in Vegas now, but at the time he had, 10 Planet Costa Mesa, Fullerton, Irvine, Orange, like he had
Wow.
all the locations
oh
out there.
shit.
And just like a powerhouse of a coach and a businessman. And
Yeah.
so I got out there, and after about a year, he gave me my brown belt, and then he moved to Vegas, and then that's when he opened up his locations out there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I stuck with him the whole time. I was in Costa Mesa training there. The girl and I split, and so I moved back to the Valley, back to my old gym, still with 10th Planet, and then had a falling out with them because I wanted to open up a spot, and they kind of wanted to be partners on it, and I didn't really want to. I just wanted to branch off and do my own thing, and start build my own set of students and that whole bit. And so
Yeah, for
uh
sure.
so we split off, and then I ended up wanting to open up a 10th Planet out here, but there's just so many of them that it just wasn't an option. I was looking at
Yeah.
every location. You have to be 10 miles away from another one, and I was like, dude, there's nowhere. Like, I'd have to go like almost to Northern California, but like somewhere in the middle, which is like nothing. So yeah, I started talking to Brandon McCaffrin, and he was telling me, well, where could you live? Like, if you had to move, what are some options? And so I started throwing out things out there, and I mentioned Seattle, and he's like, Nate Orchard's out there. And I was like, that's true, he is out there. I completely forgot. And so, I ended up hitting up Nate to go out there and figure out how we could, work together on his gym that he already had. He already had 10 Planet Seattle,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
and potentially do a second location out there. So flew out there. We had a meeting. I'm with a different girl at the time, who's now my wife, and we're planning out the move. And within like a month, I go from okay, we're just talking about it to like I'm moving out there now fully.
Wow.
Um, so that was at the beginning of 2020. So I moved out there,
Oh
got my
no.
apartment, signed the lease. I go to walk around downtown Seattle on day one, day two, COVID hits, shut
Oh
down, everyone's
God.
staying home.
Dun
Uh,
dun.
Oh
so
man.
talk about timing. Yeah.
Oh,
Dude, right?
as soon as you said 2020, we were like,
Rest
fuck.
in peace.
Yeah. Gonna take a wild turn for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the plan. The plan was to go out there, build that gym. Hopefully it does, well enough that we branch off. We open up a second location. That one's mine. That's the, fairy tale.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh
so
my
yeah, so
God.
COVID hit, and we were still building the gym and doing construction, and I was out there by myself, because my wife was still in school, so she was finishing that up, and she ended up traveling back and forth because school ended up just being online, so it was perfect.
Nice.
But yeah, that whole year was pretty much a wash. Like, everything I was trying to do, I couldn't do. I was gonna I have a video background, marketing background, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna blow this place up. I had to keep it all under wraps. Nobody could tell anyone you were training.
Oh my
And so
gosh.
yeah, so I had to get a different job out there for some random company doing their marketing, and pretty much didn't train for that year. Like, I trained for the first
Wow.
4 months of it, and then nothing for the next 8. Um, and so eventually I moved back home after that year, and one of my old teammates, Andreas, hit me up. And he said, "Hey, I heard you're back in town. Is this true?" I said, "Yeah, it's true." And he's like, "Well, they're starting to do tournaments again. I want to compete. I don't have a coach." I said, "All right, well, fuck it, let's do it." I went on Amazon. I bought like a, 5x4 and loaded it up in my one bedroom, and we just were training in our living room. Like
Hell
we moved the
yeah.
couch out of the way, and so we started training. And yeah, he went out there compete. Like a month later, got second place, and he was like, "All right, we need to keep doing this." And his brother actually offered up his garage. He's like, "Dude, I have a garage full of mats." He's like, "If you guys want to use that, you could just use that."
Oh,
Dope.
that's so sick.
So it quickly went from him and I in the one bedroom to a group of five of us in the garage. And eventually I was like, "Hey, do you guys care? Like, if I opened up a gym and it wasn't a 10th planet, like, do you guys actually care?" And all of them were like, "Bro, we don't give a shit. We just want to train. Like, who cares?"
Hell
And
yeah.
so that's what kind of got the wheels turning. So, I got home, started talking to my wife, cracked open a bottle of wine. And by midnight, I had already purchased a corporation and we started building.
Wow.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
I love these
Yeah.
kind of like, this is what the fuck I'm doing decisions. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
And
quick for sure.
Yeah,
yes.
that's amazing. And so that was in what year was that then? 2021 at this point?
21. Yeah.
21. And your gym is called
Mhm.
New Ground Jiu Jitsu
Yeah. New
at,
Ground Jiu Jitsu. Yep.
in Sherman Oaks, California?
Yep.
Okay. Awesome. And it is like it's a no-gi focused place, right?
Yeah. So it's essentially just like a 10th planet,
Mm-hmm.
but just different brand, different name. It's all no gi.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we could just incorporate our own style and what we prefer to do. Yeah.
Yeah. So if someone walked into your gym and then like
Mhm.
another gym, what do you think would feel differently or what do you want to feel differently about your gym?
Yeah, so I would say with ours, like I understand, especially now how everything is. There's so many options. There's so many gyms out there. And the first experience is always the hardest. I feel like now with kind of how social media is and just everything around. I feel like attention spans have gone down dramatically.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh, yeah.
And so a lot of our focus is on kind of nurturing the beginner through those first 3 months. And I
Hmm.
would say that's our biggest focus. And so, we're not big on like competitors. We're not big on like all the upper belts. We have good guys there. And if you're an upper belt, you come in, you'll run into them and you'll know like, oh, this is a good spot. But as far as attention and focus, it definitely goes towards the newbies to
Hmm.
just introduce them to it. A lot of
Yeah.
people I still don't think that it's for them, and I just don't think
Hmm.
they've had the right experience yet.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
And I
Mhm,
love that because I love coaching fundamentals because I just love to see like people in the beginning of their journeys and stuff.
Hmm.
And so how do you structure your classes? Because I feel like there's some people that are just so good with teaching beginning or then some
mhm,
people that like should probably just coach more advanced stuff.
Yeah.
mhm,
So I like that you tailor and try and like cater to the beginner. Because I feel
mhm.
like some places don't necessarily do that. So can you tell us a little bit about how you like structure your classes and like your coaching style?
Yeah, yeah. So I would say I'm super fortunate and super lucky. As I mentioned before, with the coach that I had that kind of mentored me, his style was very much fundamental based. And it wasn't like fundamentals, like here's this fundamental technique. um there's this, obviously the whole ecological thing is the big topic these days, the hot take. And it was something I felt like he was doing back in 2010,
Mm-hmm.
because all I learned from him was proper frames, proper guard retention, proper distance management, clinching. And it was just like there wasn't techniques, there wasn't a lot that we learned technique wise. It was
Mm-hmm.
very much just like the control portion and the defensive portion of like,
Mm-hmm.
here's what's important, here's what you need. And so that I was kind of brought up with my entire training. And I would say now, relating it to fundamentals, like, yeah, those are the key things that I don't see discussed often.
Mm-hmm.
um as far as style, I've changed it a lot. So I have the goal of trying to be one of the best coaches. And, I take a lot from, a lot of influence from other coaches that are out there right now, whether it's jujitsu. I've studied a lot of basketball coaches because they work with big teams. And, how do you get players to work together and, follow a game plan and all these different aspects of it. And so I've studied a lot of different coaching styles. I would say now, I do a lot of teaching as far as technique,
Mhm.
But what I do now is, kind of what the CLA method tries to do, which is just, you set up rounds, and within the rounds, observing what's happening and what's wrong. What's missing, what are pieces that are happening, what are mistakes that are constantly happening.
Mhm.
And then I either polish them, I build off of them, um, or I adapt it to the person themselves. And
Okay.
so,
Oh, that's
Oh,
yeah,
I
cool.
like that.
yeah, depending on who it is, obviously different skills, but I think body type is a big one. And if there's
Mhm.
something I'm teaching where I'm like, this is just not going to work for you, here's what I would rather you do. You're
Yep.
already
Nice.
naturally doing this thing. So now pair it with this, and this is going to fit your game better.
That's
Yeah.
so important. What is something that you think that people are doing right now in jujitsu that most coaches, or you're doing that most coaches would disagree with? I guess not people, but you specifically.
Well, I would say now that CLA and ecological training is like the biggest hype, I teach techniques still. I still show techniques.
There
I
you
Mhm.
still
go.
show, you know, a step by step, so to speak. But I definitely teach it in a broader way where it's not like you have to do this, you have to do this. I do
Okay.
it in a responsive way where, I try and shape the technique around my experiences. So, like,
Mhm.
when I do this thing, here's how people generally respond. And obviously
Yes.
when we train with different belts, we get different responses, and I'll kind of address it accordingly.
Mhm.
So I make sure I spend a lot of time on certain things in my personal game before I
Mhm.
start kind of showcasing it, because I want to make sure that I've gotten the, proper reactions, responses, controls, follow-ups on like every belt rank. Like, have I done
Yeah.
this to a black belt? Have I done this to a brown belt? Have I done this to a blue belt? And what's the response? What's the reaction? So
Mhm.
I try and do a lot of, R&D beforehand, and then it's easier to kind of relay it back because it's like you're already covering all the boxes beforehand.
Yeah. And I
Mm.
haven't like been as many gyms that have do the ecological approach.
Yeah.
I'm
Mhm,
very much
Same.
like I need to learn the technique. I need to
mhm.
have an understanding of like the position that I'm working from before I have to use my brain too
Yeah.
much with
Right.
and like just like figure it out. I'm not that kind of person. I
The
need somebody to
literal
teach
Mhm.
forced
me.
conversation today.
Yeah,
Right,
that is
right.
really funny. We were just talking about this for like 10 minutes when we were smoking before podcast.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, so I like your style. I like your style. What do you
Mhm.
feel like is a really common mistake that coaches make?
Um, I would say adapting for each student is
Mm,
probably a big one. I would say that's the most common.
mhm,
I wouldn't say it's necessarily the biggest, but I would say, and it's hard to say it's like a mistake or like a
mhm,
fault, because, I still think it's, the process of trying things. But
mhm,
right now, with all the ecological stuff, until Greg started coming out and doing his interviews and like explaining what it was, I was 100% against it. I was like, that's
mhm.
the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I was like, why would you do that? Makes no sense. Like, I just shit on it so much. And once he started explaining it, I was like, okay, that makes sense. Like, he would answer the questions that I had. I was like, you know, you're missing this piece, you're missing this piece. When he explains it, he addresses those pieces. And I'm like, okay, so people just don't understand fully what it is, and they're trying to implement it. And I think
Yeah.
that's where I had the disconnect.
Mhm.
Um, when you hear him talk about it, I'm like, I fully get it and I fully agree with it, but I think there's still room for technique and nuances and, you know, details that make efficiency better.
Totally.
Yes.
Um, so I think both are equally as important. But yeah, I just think people are trying to implement it without fully understanding it. And it is
Mhm.
making it very much a like, yeah, figure it out yourself. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
no, that's not quite the thing. But I've used it in my gym for sure, as an
Mhm.
introduction, and then I'm able to plug in the techniques within what I just saw,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
I
So
like
that makes it
that.
a lot easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a good way to learn, and also, I think there can be a misconception too when you come in and just learn a lot of technique from the start, that you don't really develop the physical aspect. So you don't develop the cardio right away. You don't develop the grips right away. You
Yeah.
know, you start doing movements and you're like, damn, why am I tired so fast? So I think it's, it kind of checks all the boxes
For
to kind of
sure.
get some general awareness, some movement, and then you plug in the techniques and stuff.
Yeah. At your academy now, you've been open for 5 years.
Yeah. Mhm.
How is that going? Like how have you feel that it's been like building and growing?
I would say, pretty early on, we built very fast. And
Hmm.
I think I've had a lot of luck in my life with a bunch of different things. And I think this was one of them. I think the timing of opening a gym when COVID was ending and people were just starting getting back into training,
Yeah.
there were still a lot of gyms in this area that were not open.
Hmm.
And so when we finally opened, everyone had the itch. Everyone was ready to come back. So I think, the itch of coming back and trying to get back into training, and then, the shiny toy syndrome of something new
Hmm.
in a different gym, everyone was just like flooding. And, before we opened and like actually had the first class, we had pre signups. And by the time we opened, we had 55 students already. And so it
Wow.
was
Ooh.
very quickly that it came about. And so again, I think the first 2, 3 years, we kind of came out of the gate hard, and now these last 2 years, it's kind of leveled off as like a normal business, where finances get in the way, people move away, and all these
Hmm.
different
Yeah.
things come up. So, now we're in the business side of things. It's like, okay, polish your shit, get it cleaner, make it smoother, and
Hmm.
improve from there.
Yeah. Oh, what has been the most challenging thing about owning your own gym?
I think just learning like the more in depth of the business side. I think it's very
Hmm.
broad on what people get into. Obviously, they're like, oh, I need more members. I got to market. I got to do these things. But
Yeah.
and that's obviously what you need. But the numbers behind that, I think, is the more important part that I don't see, or at least I don't talk to jujitsu people enough to know if they do that. Where it's like, well, how much does it cost you to get a lead? Are you
Right.
closing that lead? What is your closing rate? Just all these different numbers that I didn't realize had that much importance. It was more so
Hmm.
like, if I have, 200 members and I'm making this much, like I'm good, right? That kind of thing.
Yeah. Right.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. Just looking at the math and not the big picture.
yeah.
Yeah, and
So
that's
now
why
I'm
it's
I'm
so
getting more
important. Yeah.
detailed with it. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's why it's so important to cater to new students
I
Hmm.
like
because
it.
you need to retain them. You want to keep,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that's really important for growth.
Hmm.
We like to ask coaches and gym owners about their like female population.
Oh yeah.
And
Hmm.
I love to ask male coaches how they maybe coach differently when they're working with men versus women,
If it's different
if
at
it's
all.
different at all.
I wouldn't say it's different. I mean, as far as coaching style, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's different. I mean, I'm not a big dude, so I've been small pretty much throughout the entire duration.
Hmm.
Um, and so I think having the details of having to work against bigger people has benefited me when trying to show something to a female.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
and I think what I enjoy about having the females learn, is that because they don't have the strength, like their technique improves so much faster than men.
Yeah.
Like men do rely on strength to a certain degree. The ego for men doesn't allow them to lose, so they try and explode rather than just figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And at least at our gym, the women that are there are just kind of like, it's fine. I'll figure it out. I'll get it at some point. And they take their time. There's no rush on it. And now, you know, they have some of the best technique when it comes to like guard retention, escapes, and like all these things. And I love seeing that. And that's a big thing for me. But as far as style, no, I might add some details that make it easier, for certain scenarios, or
Mm-hmm.
I might give them a little extra as far as, for example, with defenses, I can't get this one thing. This one thing's not working. I'm like, oh, let's pair it with this. Let's try
Mm-hmm.
1 and 2 and maybe 3. And I'll show them a little extra for them to tie it together to kind of help with the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Whereas like with, a man, I'm just gonna be like, oh, here's the one escape, learn that escape, practice this. That's all you need for now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like that. I'm a smaller person myself, so I coach similarly to your style. So I'm like, oh, yes, I
Mhm.
see exactly what you're doing here. And I think it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, let's talk about wrestling versus guard pulling. Obviously, you're in a
Oh
no-gi
shit.
gym.
You're a no-gi gym. Yeah.
Talk to me. What do you you oh shit before I said anything. Go.
Yeah. Well, I, you know, I will say Mikey Musumeci's not my favorite jiu-jitsu person. Phenomenal game and all that stuff. But I do agree with him when he says we're doing jujitsu anyway. The whole point's to get to the ground anyway. I'm saving you the time and effort by just going there. Why? Like this
Yeah.
is what we're trying to do regardless. Yeah, I think. I think both are good. I think you need them regardless. I don't think you need to be the best wrestler in the world, to be considered good at jujitsu or be considered a black belt or whatever. Um, if we're all just training jujitsu for our own personal reasons, I think you need enough wrestling to handle yourself in a street confrontation. Like I need a basic
Yeah.
takedown to just work against a noob. I don't, I think that's all you need. But as far as the competition aspect, I'm a guard puller for sure.
Hmm.
Um,
Nice.
you know, like I said, I fought MMA for 6 years. My knees are not the best. I'm 37 now. I'd rather just sit to my butt and work some shit from there. I think
I
it's
love
we're
it.
we're already doing jiu-jitsu. Who cares?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's. I mean, I'm a guard puller
I'm a
too.
guard
So,
puller too.
yeah.
There you go. Yeah, yeah.
I like to talk a big game for wrestling, but the reality is I'm good at defending takedowns so that I can pull guard.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, as long as there's consistent practice within it, you know what I mean?
Oh
So you keep
yeah.
it sharp, the reactions and all that stuff. But yeah, for just longevity, I want to do this till I'm 60, and it's not gonna happen if I'm wrestling every day, for sure.
Exactly.
Very true.
Where do you think the Noki game is going right now?
Oh, that's a good one. I don't know. We've had so many different like resurgence of, new techniques, going back into old techniques, going back into, I think, a unique hybrid of like jujitsu and wrestling, like with wrestle ups being a big thing.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Um, I feel like we're starting to get back into leg locks with no heel hooks, and now the straight ankle is turning into the dominant leg lock.
Hmm.
Um, I think people are finding that the straight ankle has better control. And now with the Aoki lock and Woj lock and all these different variations, like you're seeing a lot more finishes with that
I'm fucked.
than any heel hooks. Like I can't remember the last time I've seen an outside or inside heel hook. That's just, I don't know. It hasn't been a big thing as of recent.
That is a huge, huge point because
Hmm.
I see people shying away from brown and black belt competition because they don't want to deal with getting heel hooked
Hmm.
because they have day
Yeah.
jobs.
Yes, they have day
Yeah.
jobs.
No, for
Yeah,
sure.
I
Yeah.
did
It's a
not
big
even
thing.
realize that it's just not happening right now. I'm watching gi jujitsu most of the time, so I guess I just
Mhm.
missed that had shifted out of there so much. That's cool to know.
Yeah. So it's going in that direction, but also, um, I'm seeing a lot of like old school techniques come back too. Like,
Mhm.
arm bars have always been pretty popular, as is, but leg locks when those were the big thing, that's kind of all anyone did.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Um, and now with, the with K guard becoming a popular thing, the counter to when people defend it is that little shotgun arm bar that you're seeing happen
Yeah.
quite often.
yes.
And so, arm bars are going to come back with its own set of setups. So yeah, it's
Mhm.
unique right now. I'm enjoying it. Um, I think it's fun too for as long as we've all been training to like still have just continuous new things to learn. You're like, oh, that's fun. Like, okay, I can keep. There's never a point where you're like, I got this shit.
Yeah,
Exactly.
totally.
I think that's probably the best part for me about jujitsu is you can just continue to grow and enhance, but also
Mhm.
like I choked some I choked somebody last night with just the
Mhm.
tops of my feet.
I love that.
I need like a descriptor on like what does that look like?
I'm so sad that I didn't stay for that second class.
He
Um,
goes, whoa.
okay, so what I'm gonna do is go and roll back the tape and find that.
I
There
don't,
you
we
go.
gotta find it. He was leaned pretty hard in. It was either he was gonna get choked or armbarred. He didn't. He had no choice.
Who was it?
Caleb
Oh, I
is a
love
new
it.
white belt
Oh,
guy,
poor
but he's like
Caleb.
twice my size.
Oh, never mind then. No, poor Caleb.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
it was so
Uh,
good.
Oh, and
Anyway,
how did
that's
he
funny.
take that though?
he took it like a champ.
Okay, great.
Yeah, he is a
There you go.
humble white belt that just wants to learn jujitsu and did not even see it coming. So,
I
That's perfect.
I love
yeah,
that he didn't have sore ego about it.
none
Let's
whatsoever.
let's talk a little bit about ego in the gym
Yes.
Yeah,
because
let's do it.
that's a big thing. We've been saying for a while that we need to have a trash can labeled ego and just have people throw it out as soon as they walk in, or
Yep.
But you need some
but you need a
ego.
little bit of ego. But
Mhm.
what would your advice be for people regarding ego on the mats?
Um, I think coming in with like a predetermined goal. Like, what's your goal? You know what I mean? What are you trying to do? Because if you are trying to be, fucking UFC champ or ADCC champ, then yeah, it can be frustrating, and I could see ego get in the way if you get tapped by someone you shouldn't or feel you shouldn't.
Right.
Um, but if you're just training as you're like, I want to be healthier, like I should learn some self defense, I got cool friends here, then yeah, what's the point? Like it's not achieving anything. There's really nothing that you're gonna gain from it,
Hmm.
with or without it. So it's like just chill, just relax, enjoy it, have some fun. It's not that serious.
Yeah, totally. Let's talk a little bit about burnout too.
Ugh,
Like, have you ever experienced a burnout, or have you ever had moments throughout your jujitsu career that you're like,
I'm fucking
oh,
done.
I'm done, like I need a break, or I can't do this anymore?
Oh, 100%, 110%.
Yep.
And it's actually a story I tell a lot of people, a lot of my students, just because they get the fatigue, and it could be burnout, and for others it could be plateauing. Just
Hmm.
feeling like
Yeah.
I'm here 4 days a week, and for the past 2 months I haven't gotten better.
Hmm.
It's the
Um,
two stripe plateau, every belt.
yeah, for sure. And so I had it when I was a purple belt. And at the old gym that I was at, I was very much a big fish in a small pond.
Mm.
And you know, I was a young kid and worked at a bar in the evening. So like I could spend my day training.
Hmm.
And most people had regular day jobs. They trained twice a week, and I was there like 5 days a week. So
Hmm.
I got my purple belt. I was competing a lot. And when I got back to the gym, I was getting tapped so much. I was like struggling to even have like good movement. I felt like I was like a fish out of water. I felt very sluggish. I didn't feel strong at all. It's just like everything was going wrong. And I was like, I had
Hmm.
just gotten promoted. And I was like, what is happening? I'm like, why? It wasn't that I wasn't progressing. I was like visibly getting worse. And I was like, what is this? And so I remember I had a training session, where I trained with a lot of people that I would go against and typically get the better of, and I was getting tapped left and right.
Hmm.
And I had to go to work that night, so I got to work, and again worked at a bar. So like I started at 9 p.m. and just worked through the night. I remember at 10:30, I just like broke down and I called my coach and I was like, "Yo, I fucking hate jujitsu. I never want to do it
Mhm.
again. I'm over it. Like I just not having fun. I'm like, this is the stupidest thing ever." And he was just like, dude, you just need a break. Like, I want you to stay away from jujitsu. Don't talk about it. Don't think about it. Don't watch it. Don't do anything. He's like, go hang out with friends, go to the beach. Like, you know, just go hang out and be like a normal person. Like, don't fucking think about it at all. So I took a month off, and literally did that. I like didn't pull up any videos. I stayed off social media. I just like, hung out with family, hung out with friends, read books and just did a bunch of things. And finally, when I decided to come back, it was like a month and a week. And I came back, and first session back, I smoked everybody. And it was
Yes.
such a
Oh man.
weird thing. And it was a weird realization to me that I was just overthinking. I was consistently
Hmm.
overthinking.
Hmm.
And it's funny now, we put out a t-shirt that we branded Overthinking Kills. And it's,
Hmm.
I think it's something everybody does and we just don't realize it.
Is that
Yes.
available for purchase somewhere?
It is for sure. It's on our
Perfect.
site,
Yes.
Okay,
newgroundapparel.com.
perfect. Will
Oh
go
my
look that up
God.
and make a purchase soon
There
because,
you go.
yeah.
There you go.
This is like
But
such an
yeah.
unlock thing for people, I think,
Hmm.
myself included.
Yeah, honestly, like
Yeah.
that makes me like I'm like I'm glad that you got burnt out. I'm not trying to say that. I'm glad it's like
Yeah.
it's nice. It's nice to hear though that like you to see a high level black belt that's been training and coaching for a long time, to know that you
Mhm.
got that advice, in your purple belt years, like take time away.
Mhm.
Like that
Yeah.
makes people feel better, because I feel like so often people are told to just like power through and whatever. Have you
Yeah.
ever given any of your students that advice, taking time away?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And actually, as of recent, I had two students that brought it up to me. One I just gave his blue belt last year.
Mhm.
Um, and the other was also a purple belt. And same thing. I was like, dude, just take a break. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with taking a break. I feel
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
there is the conception that, or the perception rather, that there's, time away means I'm going to get worse.
Mhm.
I'd say broadly for a long period of time, yes, right? It's a perishable skill. I think we're all aware of that.
Yeah.
Um, but I also think just not for the physical, but for the mental clarity, just to
Hmm.
focus on things that you don't have to take as seriously. Because I think even for a lot of people as hobbyists, still take it seriously because in their heads they're spending all this money to improve, and if you don't feel like you're improving, it's like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I
Hmm.
putting
Yeah.
all this money, all this time away from family? And I get it. That's frustrating. That's super frustrating. And so I say just go enjoy your family, go hang out, go live life and do what you're supposed to do, travel around, spend some time in the sun and then come back fresh. The cardio will suck for sure.
Yeah.
Um, but
That
I've
sounds
definitely given
bad.
that advice. And when they come back, they're like, I felt good today. And I was like, there you go. You just need a little break.
Yeah, I think that that's just a really good thing to hear from somebody who's been training for so long, because
Mhm.
I feel like people can feel guilty about taking time for themselves, and it's important that we do that. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
um,
Do you think that your gym today, New Ground, exists because things went wrong?
That's a good question. Um, I wouldn't say things went wrong. I would say, you know, I don't want to be cliche, so I'm trying to think of a better answer. But um, I think what jujitsu in and of itself teaches us is to deal with what's right in front of you, and to deal with it in a way that's, careful, that's thoughtful, that's intentional, um, and that is minimal. That, like, you don't have to make a big move to feel like you're making progress. It could be a small move in the
mhm,
right direction that creates momentum to keep going. And
yeah.
so I feel like, things definitely didn't go according to plan. Um, but I definitely think they worked out for the best. Like, I don't know. I couldn't be happier with my life right now with, everything, with having the gym, being able to teach full time. My wife gets to be home with our daughter and just take care of her, and,
Mhm.
you know, getting to see her every day also. Dude, there's literally no better gift, I think.
Yeah,
That's so
that's
great.
awesome.
I love that.
Yeah, my
Mhm.
next question was going to be, what part of your journey are you most grateful didn't go according to plan? But it honestly sounds like everything went exactly how it was supposed to.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, obviously in the moment it doesn't feel
yeah,
like that, right? You have
right. But
the burnouts or the plateaus, and
yeah,
you just
Yeah.
figure it
kudos to
out.
you. Man, so if we take jujitsu away, what does life look like for you? Like,
Oh shit.
what other things do you enjoy? I know you're a dad, so.
Yeah. Honestly, now it would definitely be that.
Mhm.
My daughter's only 16 months,
Oh,
so she's still
fun.
very little.
Oh, wow.
But we're like getting into the phases where she's walking around, she's, trying to talk, and she's experimenting with, what does this do? Where does that go? How do I throw this thing? And I don't
Mhm.
know, I'm loving it. Like, just seeing her discover things in her surroundings and just, oh, bubbles, what is that?
That's so
So
Um,
cute.
fun.
it's just like a time period in our lives I think we got away from, where it's just like,
Yeah.
you're so mesmerized by such small things, and now we take that for granted. So
Yeah.
I think if I didn't have jujitsu, I would literally just spend my entire day with her and explore the world.
That's
That
so
is
rad.
so cool. I love that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, so we like to wind or round up our episodes with a little bit of rapid fire
Rapid
questions. Are you cool
fire.
with
Oh
that?
shit. Well, let's find out.
All right. Well,
I think so.
usually my first question is gi or no gi,
That is
but
a
I'm gonna
void
go ahead and
question
skip
today.
that.
We're
Yeah,
going
let's do
to
it. Let's do it. Let's
assume.
do it. Let's do it.
What's your favorite submission?
Oh, armbar.
What is that also your favorite submission to teach?
It's actually not. My favorite submission to teach is a guillotine.
Nice.
Nice. Oh, it is so
Yeah.
fun to teach. I love
Yeah.
that. What is your favorite position to play from?
Seated butterfly.
Ooh, fun.
I want to come and do
Mhm.
jujitsu with you.
Yeah,
General
right. I
favorite
know.
butterfly.
Let's go. This is
Let's set
great.
it up.
We would have so much fun.
What do you prefer, coaching kids or adults or teens?
Uh, adults,
Nice. And do you prefer teaching beginners or advanced?
beginners.
Yes, nice.
Yeah,
Love that.
yeah.
What do you feel like the hardest belt to get through for you was?
Purple belt.
Purple belt.
Same.
That's, I feel like, the most common
Oh,
one
and
that we
actually, I
get.
mean, fun fact about that. So, uh, when I got my brown belt, I was at brown belt for 8 years before I got my black belt.
Hot damn. Huh.
Oh,
So
wow.
you would think that that would be the hardest belt to get through, but it was actually purple belt was the hardest.
And do you feel like that was like more mentally difficult, the purple
Uh,
belt?
Purple belt was more difficult because I felt like there was expectations on me now, and I put
Mhm.
expectations on myself to where
Yeah.
it was like, you know, you're a professional belt now, right, so to speak.
Mhm.
So I felt like I had to have a certain level of control and dominance over lower belts, and
Yeah.
be able to beat people and however I wanted, and that was just not the case. And so it was just a mental thing for me to get through and realize, like, yeah, that's not how it's supposed to work, and if it's not, it's okay, like, it's not a
Mhm.
thing.
That's where I am right now. I'm in my purple belt, and every time I hear
Mhm.
somebody say the purple belt is like the most difficult, it makes me feel a little better
Yeah, you're
inside.
gonna get through it.
Like,
You're gonna
No,
get
it's
through it. You're
definitely
almost
hard,
done.
like
but you
no,
will make it for sure.
I appreciate
She's
that.
almost done.
What
Oh
is
yeah.
what is something that people might be surprised to learn about you?
um I actually don't think a lot of people know that I do play music. I think that was from the first question you asked, like, that's not
Yeah,
I
something
love
I
that.
share often. But yeah, I played guitar for 10 years. I'm actually really good at guitar,
that's so.
and I don't think
Do you
anyone knows
play
that.
all different kinds of guitar or acoustic or?
Uh, yeah, I have acoustic here, but I have both. But I play acoustic more just because, now with the baby, I can't plug it in and let it
Right.
Right.
rip. So, I just play acoustic now.
What's your favorite kind of music?
It's actually metal music.
Nice.
Yeah, so metal music, but like scary metal music.
Perfect.
Nice.
This leads well into my next question. If you had a
Okay.
super fight tomorrow, what is your walkout song?
Oh man, I don't know if anyone would know it.
We'll
There's a
look it
band
up.
called Yeah, look it up. There's a band called Periphery,
Okay.
and they have a song that's literally called The Walk.
The Walk. Okay.
Nice.
We're gonna
Yeah.
listen to it as soon as we get off the phone
Um,
with you.
I guarantee you would
in
love
my
it.
second MMA fight, that was my walkout song.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. So it just like amps you up.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Do you have any like rituals that you have to do before competing?
Um, no, like when I was competing a lot, I didn't have anything really. I mean, I think for me, like I said, I didn't perform well, so it was more so just like trying to get myself to be calm and
Yeah.
not overthink the situation too much.
Yeah.
And I actually just recently competed randomly on a whim,
Nice.
like 3 weeks ago. Um, yeah, hadn't been training for it at all. And there was a guy who was in a bracket by himself. So I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. He was like 220. And I was like, well, we'll figure it out. And yeah, it was just him and I. So we went twice, and I was able to submit him twice. But that
Nice.
Wait,
was
what is your
that
weight
was just
class?
I'm like 190. I'm a little bit bigger now.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So it's
congrats
not
on
far off.
that.
Thank
Nice.
you. But yeah. No, for me it was just be calm. Don't get the jitters. I was trying to
Mhm.
figure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. What is your go-to post-comp meal?
Sushi. Always.
Nice. Always a
Oh
good
yeah.
choice. All
Oh yeah.
right. A couple more for you.
Yeah.
So if your best friend had to describe you in 3 words, what are those 3 words?
Oh man, best friend. Who's my best friend?
Or your
Uh
wife.
I think she would say, I hope she would say, hardworking, funny, and dedicated.
Love it. I
Excellent.
mean, I think that those are all qualities you have to have as a gym owner and
Right, right,
as a
right.
black belt in jujitsu.
For
Not
sure.
so. Some
Yeah.
people are assholes and jujitsu.
True, true,
That's
but
also true.
definitely
Yeah.
hardworking and
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
oh, awesome. So where can people find you and train with you? Give us your handles, where to find you, and if you have anything else coming up that you want to plug, please
Yeah,
do
yeah.
so here.
So we're in SoCal, in Sherman Oaks, California. We're open to everybody. If anyone wants to come by and stop in, for a class or for open mat, they're always welcome. You can find us on Instagram. It's newground_jiu-jitsu. And then my personal handle is Coach Lobes. Pretty easy to find.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, that's all we have coming up. We're getting through the year, and actually, my wife and I will probably be moving
Oh,
out of
wow.
California at the end of the year.
Wow, where
Uh,
to?
Probably Idaho is where we're looking.
Oh, you're gonna be closer to us.
Closer to, not even
Oh,
close.
where are you guys at?
No, we're nowhere near it.
Not close, but
Oh,
closer. So
closer. Okay, okay, got it.
so when you move, you should come
Uh-huh.
through you should come up the Oregon coast because we
There
are
you
out
go.
on the
Oh,
Oregon
okay.
coast. Stop
Oh,
in. We
nice.
would love to meet you in person.
For
Once you
sure.
cut across to Idaho.
Yeah, just a
Yeah.
little detour, it's fine. But
A little detour. Yeah, that's not too bad. But yeah, so that's the goal, and then we'll open up a new ground over there.
that is so
That's so
exciting.
great.
Yeah.
Hell
Wow.
yes.
We're excited to keep following you and see what's next for you. So
Yeah. I
congrats on
appreciate you guys.
everything you
Thank
have
you.
accomplished in the last 5 years and cheers to what's coming next.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for doing this. I appreciate you guys setting this up.
Yeah, no, we've had fun. So we appreciate you and we hope to catch up again soon.
Awesome. Let's do it.
All
Thanks,
right. See you
Mike.
later,
See
Coach
ya.
Lobes.
Woo.
Take care. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
Bye. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Check us out on Instagram at chokeholdsandchillpod or shoot us a message at chokeholdsandchillpod@gmail.com.